All right, so we want to elaborate a while longer on the issue that came up a few minutes ago, which has to do with the PPP's press conference, where they are saying that per their own State of the Nation, there are a number of differences from what they have and what the president told the nation somewhere last week. And I'm being joined in studio by Ni Alotibro Hammond. He is the national chairman of the Progressive People's Party, to tell us what their State of the Nation is. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
How different is your State of the Nation from what the president told us last week?
Well, the difference in our view of the State of the Nation is shared by most Ghanaians. It's perpetual darkness. And in darkness, we are unable to perform the functions that we are expected to do. Most businesses are collapsing under the yoke of this darkness. And we have identified corruption as being the root cause for this near perpetual darkness that the country is in now.
But apart from this two that you've mentioned, which is corruption and then also the power crisis. The power crisis, for instance, the president and the other key players in the power sector have apologized for the inconvenience. They have given indications that they are vehemently working to solve the problem. And then when it comes to corruption, government has clearly shown, especially with the issue of JIDA and SADA, that they are making progress in either arresting or recouping the monies that have been lost. So apart from these two, what else is the PPP's position when it comes to Ghana's currency? Because you've left out issues of education, the transport sector, when it comes to trade and industry. I mean, there are vast other angles or issues that you've left out.
Well, we haven't left anything out, because all those that you just mentioned require some resources. And if the resources are being siphoned away from those targets, then there's no way you can meet the education factor or the health factor or even the housing factor. They all need financial resources that currently is not being managed properly. The state of the nation, due to the dissipation of these vast amounts of money. You will agree with me that the Auditor General has for a number of years announced billions of Ghanaian cedis that are lost through corrective practices. What has the government done to ensure that those numbers do not grow and to stem its growth? We haven't seen any action. So that's why most of us do not believe when the president says that he's going to do something. What are the things that he has enumerated in his State of the Nation address? They sound very nice and appealing to the ears. But he was the very one that promised to end this doomsday many months ago, and at the end of the day decided not to give any more promises.
You're very much aware that the problem we have as a country when it comes to the power crisis has severally been mentioned by government, and they are doing something towards it. Is it that you do not see any end in sight at all?
Well, there's something.
And what would you have done different?
Well, what we would have done differently is to invest more in the power sector, so that we don't have what we are having today. We are depending solely on Kosovo Dam, and only recently did we think of bringing in to be part of our power generation. These are decisions that ought to have been taken a long time ago, back in 1960, 65, 70. The leadership should have thought of adding more power generation to our consumption.
But the issue of dependence on hydro is what has brought us where we are now. There was over-dependence on hydro. Clearly, experts in the energy sector and when it comes to power have clearly stated that we should have focused more on at least alternative sources of power. If the PPP were to be in government, apart from hydro, what are the alternatives, and how would you address the current? What are your policy alternatives?
Well, the issue of solar is now predominant on everyone's mind, which is something that we should have taken advantage of many years ago. If PPP were given the opportunity to manage the affairs of state, the use of solar would be promoted heavily, and the right investments directed to the production of the solar power, so that we can benefit from God-given natural resource of the sun you know, where we have it here, and if we don't invest in its research, if we don't research in its production, then we won't be able to take advantage of what God has given us.
All right, so finally, to close this chapter on this discussion, what is the way forward after a press conference saying that, well, what government said is not entirely the truth, and the truth is that there is clear frustration for businesses and the common man? What is the PPP doing about, or what is the PPP going to do? What's the next line of action?
The way forward is for us to continue to put the emphasis on the government's performance and to ensure that the government is aware that, you know, civil society or the political parties are looking, watching to see how they are addressing the situations confronting us. And if they are not able to satisfy our needs, we will be out there ensuring that people are aware that there is an alternate, and the alternate is the Progressive People's Party.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll have to leave it here for now. You heard Ni Alote Bruhamon. He is the national chairman of the Progressive People's Party. They think, or they say, that the current economic problems are not as the president stated it. It is worse than we think, and that it is a party that can solve those problems for us. This is Midday Live.